Today we're going to be doing some coding challenges in CheckiO, and today we're going to be looking at JavaScript. Now, if you're interested, we have already finished all of the problems in initiation in Python. So if you want to check that out, click on the card that you see above. But today we're going to be working on JavaScript. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're going to do, let's go to multiply. Now, what I'm going to do, there's a few ways that we can run some JavaScript. You can do it from the browser. If you hit inspect console, and if you clear this out, you can actually run some JavaScript over here. Okay. But what I'm going to do, we're going to do it via the terminal. And if you want to do it via the terminal, you need to have Node installed. I will have a link for that in the description below. So having a hard time here. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to hit Node, and I can go ahead and start executing JavaScript in the terminal. So the first function, we need to accept two numbers and multiply them and then return the result. Okay, so I'm going to give you a function that takes two numbers and adds them together. Okay, so we're going to first start off with the keyword function. I'll name the name of my function will be add2, and now I need to accept two numbers. Okay, I can press A and B. Now these two values are arbitrary. They can be whatever you want. They can be X and Y. They can be anything that you want, but you have to make sure that they match up. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. Okay, we're gonna open the bracket, hit shift and press enter to go on to the next line. So basically all I want to do is return both A and B added together. And how do we add in JavaScript? Use the plus sign. So A plus B, oops, A plus B. And then we're going to close that off and hit enter. Okay, now I can run this function. Add2, if I hit tab, it'll finish it off for me. And now I need to give it two arguments. Okay, I'll give it 2 and 4. And notice, as you can see, it says a 6 here. It already calculated the answer for me, but I'll hit enter, and there you go. Okay, so what I want you to do is modify this code so that it will give you the product of the two numbers instead of adding it together. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, the next one. So here we're going to accept a string, but we only want to get the first word. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say my text equals, oh, I forgot, let my text equal, and we'll say a string of hello world. Okay, now what I can't do is call it at its first index, because if I do that, it's going to give me, oops, it's just going to give me the first letter. But I don't want the first letter, I want the first word. So I'm noticing here that there's a space in between hello and world, and I can use a built-in method that's called split, the split method, and I can actually split these up into two words by the spaces. Okay, and how do I do that? Well, let's do my text dot split. And now, what do I want to split them by? Now, look what happens when I split them by, let's say, the L's, because there's more than one L there. When I split them by the L's, notice here they are. They're split up, okay? But I don't want this, obviously. I want to split it by the spaces. So how do we do that? Let's delete that, and let's leave it just like that, and let's see what happens. Okay? Notice that it's taking every single letter, but I don't want that. Again, I want to split it by the spaces. So let's try that one more time. Let's put a little space in there and watch what happens. Okay? Now, oops. Now what I can do is I can extract the first index. Okay? So in your function, what you're going to do, I'll give you a sample here. Function, what was it called? First word, okay? And it has to take in an argument. We'll call it text, okay? Open bracket. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to split the text, okay? So I'm gonna write some some pseudocode here, split the text, okay? So here, let me make this a little easier. You're gonna name a new variable, okay? Let's say here, new variable, okay? And you're gonna set it equal to your split text, okay? And I showed you how to split that text. You're gonna use the dot split method, okay? So for example, over here, we're taking text and we need to split the text. So figure out what you're gonna write here, okay? You're gonna write text and then you're gonna split it, okay? Once you're done splitting it, I'm gonna hit shift and enter. Once you're done splitting it, you're gonna go ahead and return that new variable, okay? Return that new variable, the one that I just declared. Now, but this time I can call it at its index, okay? So hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Again, you're gonna have a function, have your argument. First, you're gonna create a new variable, you're gonna split it, and then you're gonna return that new variable at its first index, and hopefully you should come up with the first word. Okay, so here we're gonna take a string and we're gonna output a Boolean of true or false. Okay, here what we'll do is we'll write an actual function. Okay, is acceptable. Okay, is acceptable. We need to take in an argument and we're gonna call it password, so we could go ahead and use it. Okay, and now so here's our if and else statement. If password dot length is less than or equal to 6. Okay, now we're gonna write what we're gonna do, what's gonna happen if it's less than. Now remember, if it's less than 6, it's no good. So we want to return false. Okay, close that bracket. And here's gonna be our else statement. Okay, so if it's over 6, what are we gonna return? Okay, I'll let you try to figure that out and finish up that code. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, number length. All right, so we're gonna take an integer and we're gonna see how long that integer is. So let's do this. Go ahead and cancel. All right, so let's say let number equal, and I'm gonna put a long number on. Okay, so right now we have our number. Okay, and if I hit number, there's our number. Now all we need to do is just get the length of it, right? So why can't we just do this? Number.length. Let's try to do that. Well, notice it says type error, number.length is not a function. You cannot grab the length of a number. However, you can grab the length of a string. So how can we turn it into a string? We'll write number.toString, okay? And let's execute this. And now we have our number turned into a string. Now what we can do, we could return the length of that number. Okay, so number is still number here. Okay, so I'm gonna say let new number equal number dot to string. Okay, and now if I call new number, oops, if I call new number, I should get that string. And now new number, I can access the length. Oh, I was making a mistake because I was trying to use this to execute, but I could just use number.length. Okay, and now all I have to do to figure this out, remember the first thing that you have to do, turn it into a string, and then return that new variable dot length, and you should get the answer. Let's go on to the next one. And zeros. Okay, so this one's pretty tricky. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna compare the Python answer to my JavaScript answer just to show you how much different these two languages are. Okay, so here's my py.checkio. CheckiO is really cool because it has JavaScript and Python, so I encourage you to check out the Python. So let's take a look at my Python answer, and we're going to compare it to my JavaScript answer, okay? So what we want to do is we want to take the number of zeros at the end of the string, or the number rather, okay? So what I did first, I took that number and I turned it into a string. Okay, in JavaScript is a little different. As you can see, Python, this is all you have to do. Okay, I have my counter. I'm basically counting how many zeros there are in the end at the end of the number. And here's my for loop. Okay, for n in, and I called this method reversed. I'm basically taking that number and I'm flipping it because I want to see what's on the end. Okay, now remember, I turned this into a string. So I'm asking if whatever element that I'm looking in there for is the string 0. Remember, I'm looking for these zeros. I want to add 1 onto the answer. And I want, basically, once you're done counting all the zeros, I want you to return that answer. Let's take a look at the answer in JavaScript. Okay, so as you can see, it's a little more lengthy. Okay, but the same thing is going on here. Okay, so here, this is how you turn a number into a string. Okay, I have my my variable string and I'm changing it into a string. That's this in Python. Okay, here's my counter. Let answer equal 0. Answer equals 0. Okay, now here in JavaScript, I had to split them up first in order to iterate through them. Okay, and then here, this is where I'm reversing the string. I'm using the dot reverse method in Python. This is how you do it. Okay, here's my for loop. Okay, as you can see, it's a lot more complicated than Python. Okay, I is the variable that we're starting with. We're going to go up to the length of that reverse string, and then we're going to increment by 1. So we'll go to the first one, we'll go to the second one, we'll go to the third one. Okay, that's basically this. This line equals this in Python or JavaScript. Okay, and here's my if statement, if n equals 0. So I'm asking if the first index at the reverse string, so whenever I start counting through that length, we're going to start with the first one. Okay, here's the I, and then we're going to keep incrementing. We're going to keep going. So I'm basically asking if it's the string 0 where we're going to add to the answer. And notice in Python, we do plus equals 1 to add to that answer. And in JavaScript, we do plus plus. Okay, then else we're going to break. Same thing over here. Okay, it's just a little different with these brackets. And then finally, we're going to return the answer. Okay, so as you can see, JavaScript is a little more complicated, but hopefully you like that, comparing both of these programming languages. Okay, all right, let's do a few more. Let's do the next one, which is, let's see, backward string. Okay, and how are we going to make a backward string here? Let's go to the console. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we need to split up the strings. Okay, so remember, we're gonna call a new value or create a new variable called new value. And the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna split it. Okay, so hopefully you should already know how to split a string. Okay, and then you're gonna take that new value and you're gonna create another variable, that new variable, equal your previously created variable, but you're gonna reverse it. Okay, and how do we reverse in Python? I'm sorry, JavaScript, with the dot reverse method. Okay, so we have our new variable split up. then we have it reversed, and then we still cannot output it. We have to make it a string again, okay? So the way that I did it is by joining the using the dot join method, okay? But if you're having trouble with that, please let me know in the comments and I'll try to help you out. But that's the way that I did it, okay? First, I split it with the dot split method, then I reversed it with the dot reverse method, and then I joined it to an empty string with a dot join, and then finally returned it, okay? And finally, let's look at one more. Let's go to all upper, okay? And let's see what I did here. So how can I check if a string has all uppercase? So let new string equal, let's make it not, okay? Now I can take this string, new string, and I can make them all uppercase. How could I do that? With the dot to uppercase, okay? If I hit enter, I should get this string with all uppercase, okay? Now, right now, if I put new string, it's still not uppercase, okay? How can I check if the new string is all uppercase? Well, let's see. We'll do new string. New string. Triple equals. So right now I'm checking if both of these are equal, okay? So I'm gonna put new string dot to uppercase, okay? Let's see. I don't think I need those brackets. Okay, yeah. Okay. So here I'm noticing that this string is not uppercase, okay? So you're going to use this method to find out if that string is in fact uppercase. So we would start off the function, let's say if, well, here, let me write this out. Function upper text, and we will take an argument of text, okay? So you'll start off this function. We'll say if text is equal to uppercase, okay? So how do I access, or how do I find out if a string is uppercase? Well, you need to call this method here to uppercase. So if I write here, if new string dot uppercase, okay, then what are we gonna do? Oops, sorry. Okay. What are we gonna do if they are equal to each other? We're gonna return true, right? Oops, return true. And then let's say it's not uppercase. You need to figure out the rest here. Okay. So hopefully that gave you enough information. We're gonna stop right here and take a break, and we'll finish up the rest of these problems in my next video. Bye-bye.